That debate will come. I give you the assurance I am prepared, willing, and able to participate in it. And I promise you, when you set the debate, I know you're waiting on a date to set the debate, but today, as I said, was not for the politics.
Persad, Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago there, and that wasn't the first commitment to debating that she has made, and she has already squeezed out through the back door of one debate. Hello and welcome. Thank you for staying with us on your Sunday evening while you get ready for the work week ahead or squeeze in that final bit of Sunday relaxation. I'm Jabari Fraser. This is A Current Affair. Remember, you can send us your comments and suggestions on Twitter at TV6TNT or at Jabari Fraser. Don't forget to use the hashtag A Current Affair. Give us some feedback on Facebook too. CCN TV News is the name of our page. I don't know if you've seen these. These are some sleek black current affair mugs that we have, and you might see them pop up throughout the show at different places. We have to try some guerrilla marketing here and there. And now we're going to get straight into it. Issues of egos, prima donnas not wanting to debate with anyone they perceive to be not an equal, bickering over moderators and anything else they may perceive to be disadvantageous to them. Politicians on all sides spew the vile garbage from the platform but have been refusing to participate in a leaders' debate. The Trinidad and Tobago Debates Commission has been trying its best to get the Prime Minister and opposition leader, along with other political party leaders, to participate in a structured debate without the free-for-all under the privileges of Parliament. They've faced some serious challenges but managed to pull off a televised senior party representatives debate prior to the local government elections of 2010 and the THA elections of 2013. The Commission organized the political leaders debate in 2013, and it all fell splat when the Prime Minister decided to send Prakash Ramada to the debate, and that triggered the domino effect. On the set with me this evening is Angella Persad of the Trinidad and Tobago Debates Commission and Ronald Harford. Thank you very much for joining us. We've had some trouble organizing this, but you're finally here. What is I'll start with Miss Persad.
Sure.
What is the objective of political leaders debate?
The main objective of this debate, of political leaders debate, is to inform the population, the electorate. We, the Debates Commission, we want to set a neutral, dignified forum for educating and informing the electorate. We want those candidates who aspire to be our leaders to have an opportunity to speak to the electorate, and more so for the electorate to hear the plans and the visions of the people who aspire to be our leaders. So I would say the main objective is really to give information in a neutral environment, a neutral platform to the electorate.
Mr. Harford, how have the political leaders been reacting to the planning process so far?
I think very well. The Prime Minister's comments, as you saw in the opening of this session, it was very, very strong and affirmative that she will debate, right? We have a similar commitment from Dr. Rowley, and he said that he will debate. Now, I know there's a bit of a fuss about we haven't had commitments from any potential other parties, right? But for us to have a debate at all, we absolutely have to have the two leading political leaders. And that's why, because of the issues that you raised earlier on, we are very careful to make sure that we have commitments from the Prime Minister and the leader of the opposition.
But we've had partial commitments, in a sense, from the opposition leader.
Nothing quite as affirmative as we have here, right? And having come there, we now are in a position to know that we have a product. We have a product. And on that basis, anybody who qualifies under the various criteria that we have will be allowed to debate.
What are some of those criteria?
Well, maybe Angela will
Yes, there are two main criteria for being allowed to debate. The first one is that the party must be fielding over 50% of the constituencies, candidates in over 50% of the constituencies. So in this particular election, that would be 21 seats.
Who came up with that particular rule?
The Commission themselves, we came up with that. And the second criteria, so this is it's either or. The party must get 12.5%, at least 12.5% favorable rating in one of the nationally recognized pools.
Which
in
are
fact,
those
in
pools?
2 of the nationally recognized pools
Okay.
in the country. But that will be held just before the nomination date.
Okay, okay. And what are those 2 pools that are being recognized?
Actually, we're going to use 4, whichever 4 we're thinking of 4, whichever 2 happen to be out just before nomination day, and the 4 are the UE poll is one, the NACTA, HHB, and the Nigel Henry poll. Those are the 4 solution by simulation. Yes.
Right.
So out of those 4 polls, which 2 happen to be out just before nomination day, we will use the average of those 2.
Did you consult with anyone before coming up with these rules? I know you had some help from outside, and was there?
We
any
did, but
political
I think
consultation?
the key, there was no political consultation
Okay.
at all. But it's a very transparent 12.5%.
Okay.
That came from the Representation of the People's Act, because 12.5% is a threshold below which you lose your deposit. So we felt that that was a transparent and a neutral ground on which to place our own criterion. So there are 2 criterion. You can either be fielding more than 50% of the candidates, or your party could have gotten a 12.5% popularity or favored vote in 2 pools, national pools, nationally recognized pools.
All right. And what is the format of the debate going to be this year?
Before we go there,
Okay.
I know this whole business of the criteria is subject to everybody's views.
Right.
Well, you can have any kind of criteria, right? We had a criteria, a much higher criteria of the number of seats that you had to be represented earlier on. And our experience told us it was too high, right? And then we had a question about whether you should have 50% or 25%, and we agreed that, all right, we will go with 12.5%. If you could muster 12.5% of the population who think that you are worthy as a candidate for the Prime Ministership of Trinidad and Tobago, right, we'll give you a shot.
I know a couple of weeks ago, maybe 2 weeks ago, there was a little bit of confusion with Jack Warner, the leader of the Independent Liberal Party, and whether or not he would be allowed to participate. He's going to field 23 candidates as up to now. That's what he's saying. Is he still invited to the debate?
The crux of it is, on nomination day, does he pay for the nominations of 23 people?
And that stands for all the parties.
That's right.
Right?
Yes.
Why don't you do that, right? We probably, we think we might have 3, maybe 4 debaters, max, right? We hope no more than that, right? It will be a little bit difficult to handle, and we might have to change the format if it gets too big. But 3 or 4 we can handle very easily with the format that we have in mind.
What is the format of the debate going to be like this year?
It's going to be pretty similar to what we had before, except that we would have a moderator. We'll just have one moderator on the floor, and the moderator will be responsible for the smooth flow of the events on the evening. The moderator will pose the questions, but it's important to note that the moderator is not the person coming up with the questions, developing the questions on his or her own. But on the evening itself, there's going to be questions posed by the moderator to the candidates.
So who's going to come up with the questions?
We're going to have an independent panel of persons,
Who's the
impartial
panel does it
persons.
comprise?
The impartial persons
From which sectors?
all sectors. I think nationally minded, civic minded persons representing different geographical areas. We definitely want to have somebody representing Tobago, somebody representing the south of the country, somebody, people who are knowledgeable about the issues. But apart from that, we're also having research done on the issues that are facing the country now. So we have UE students right now, political science students, who are also researching the issues, and those issues will be fed to this panel. And the public is also going to be able to send in their questions and their issues through Facebook and so. And those questions will be taken into account as well in coming up with the final questions.
Will the panel be announced to the public, or will it be an anonymous panel?
No, it's not it's not the plan to announce the public.
But you can see it's gathering questions from all over Trinidad and Tobago, right? You can write in, you can email us. We have university students researching what's important in Trinidad and Tobago, and they bring a whole pile of questions. They could probably be sorted in piles, and these esteemed gentlemen together with the moderator, will decide, well, okay, I think we can make a question out of this one, that one, the other, and we put them into various blocks, and up will come the questions.
We just have
we don't know the questions.
Okay.
We will never know the questions as the organizers, right? It is a matter that will only be in the province of the esteemed panel and the moderator, right?
Now, we don't have much time before we go for a quick break, but I just want to ask one quick question.
All right.
Do you think that the politicians, the leaders, will have a problem with the not knowing who this anonymous panel will comprise?
Maybe I can answer that.
Okay.
You know, Jambari, the main thing for us now as a commission is to ensure that we build credibility. Because what we are trying to do as a commission is ensure that debates become a part of our electoral process going forward.
Right.
We as a commission, we are not going to choose people who would come up with partial questions or try to make anybody not look good. You know, we are going to ensure that the people we choose to come up with, you know, as a panelist, the people who are coming up with these questions are people who are fair, balanced, impartial, and, you know, ensure that they will take the question, take the issues from the public to come up with the best questions that are really the issues facing the public now.
Thank you very much. This is A Current Affair. We'll be right back.
The People's Partnership, the People's National Movement, the Independent Liberal Party, and the Movement for Social Justice had previously agreed to the guidelines for tonight's debate.
We are a party built of persons who have spent the majority of our lives working in the interests of the majority of citizens in this country.
T&M has been in party politics since 1956, brought this country to independent status and Republican status.
We live in a society that is far different from 2 years ago, maybe 5 years ago. It's a society in which people want to be more empowered. People want to have a more direct say and intervention.
We are by no means as experienced as some of our competitors. However, the advantages which accrue to us have to do essentially with the fact that we have been able to look objectively at some of the atrocities.
That was the senior party representatives' debate before the last local government elections. And at the beginning of the clip there, you saw Wesley Gibbings, a journalist, and he was the moderator. Of course, the moderator is a very touchy issue. What are some of the problems with selecting a moderator at the debate?
I think one of the key things is that the moderator must have broadcast experience, because that person is really in charge of the entire flow on the night. So he or she is really fielding the questions and also listening to the producer and the director of the show, because it is a televised, produced show, produced for television. So we are seeking somebody who has broadcast experience and obviously, you know, is able to deliver properly, deliver the questions properly. Because the questions are being developed by a panel, that person is not the person who's coming up with the questions on his or her own.
Okay, and who are some of the people that are being considered thus far for the moderator of the debate?
Well, I think it would be a bit premature for us to announce who, but believe you me, we're looking for people with esteem, people that are impartial, and people that will have the respect of the leaders when they pose the questions.
I know coming out of the meeting about a week ago with one of the representatives from the U.S. Debates Commission, Shelley Das was one of the names being considered. Is that true at all?
Well, yes, she would certainly be a very credible candidate. There are others. There are others that we're looking at.
Why is it a situation where the Debates Commission has to go to the politicians and have them agree? Can't it be a situation where it's not going like that?
No, we're not doing that.
So it's not they're not going to agree and they're not going to have problems as in the last debate.
Right. I mean, it's up to the commission, the Debates Commission, people of integrity, to choose somebody that they think that is apt and qualified for the occasion.
And what will happen if a particular politician says, well, I don't like X person because he said
we'll have to convince them to have a different opinion.
Right.
Right? Because we are naming this person, and unless some fatal flaw comes up that we were not previously aware of, right, we will not be changing the person.
Okay. And what are some of the considerations that you look for, apart from being a broadcaster and able to manage the broadcast on the particular night?
I think the key thing will be somebody who's impartial and not partisan in any particular way.
What will be the measure of that?
I guess the history. The only thing we can judge by would be their history and their performance.
Which is a great distinguisher about who we choose or not. Because there's a lot of people that we think that, that's a wonderful person. But when we go back into their records and so on, we know only too well politicians have very long memories that someday, last year, this was what was said, and he showed significant bias, right? I mean, people do show some bias from time to time, but significant bias is a criteria that we would use, right?
Right. What are some of the things, have you been meeting with the representatives from the parties, first of all?
Well, not yet.
Not as yet.
We've spoken to them, trying to firm up the commitments that they have there. They have asked us to bring forward the firm rules and regulations that will apply on the night to them. We have these intact now, and as we speak, contact has been made with the various parties, and I think some meetings are set up for next week, right? So we will start in earnest and tell them. But they are very, kind of mundane rules, but some people get a little itchy about these rules, but we will go through all the rules and make sure that they understand what the rules are. And one of the rules that we're going to make absolutely clear, right, is you can't bring any pieces of paper on
that caused some
stage,
confusion the last time.
which caused a little bit of confusion. So we learn as we go on, right?
Right. How much does putting on this debate cost?
It's a significant amount. I could tell you it's over $1 million.
And who pays for it?
Corporate T&T. Mr. Harford is very responsible for
which is one of the reasons why people make a big fuss about why are you going to get to speak to the leader of the opposition and the Prime Minister first, right? Nobody's giving me any money for a debate that doesn't include the two top people, right? So let's get that first before we start talking about any potential other leaders. So I understand some of them feel a little bit hurt that they weren't spoken to first. Well, I mean, one has to look at this on a business case. We don't have a product unless we have the two top political leaders in the debate. And once you have that, because when I go to talk to the corporate Trinidad and Tobago and said, look, sign me a check for a couple $100,000 here and there to cover the situation, they'll tell me, I remember last time when I put some money in this deal, right? People didn't turn up and we didn't have a debate, and I know it cost you a lot of money and there was nothing in the end of it for us, right? So they're very cautious. They want to make sure that we have these commitments.
Cautious, but have they committed this year?
Well, I have reasonable commitment from significant lead donors, right? That makes me speak with a certain level of confidence, right? We're not right there, haven't covered the whole bill, but there's plenty of room for the rest of corporate Trinidad and Tobago to sign a check. And I like to have more participation from corporate Trinidad and Tobago and not leave it in the hands of 10 people, right? To make sure. So it's not large corporate Trinidad, it's all the people who want they contribute and they're part and parcel of this thing, right, which improves the democracy in the country, and they're part of it. They are part of building a better Trinidad and Tobago.
Good, thank you very much. We'll come back to you right after the break. We have to take a quick break now. This is The Current Affair.
Look your MP, but where? Look your MP, where? Look your MP, look him there, looky there, don't let him get away. Look your MP, but where? lucky MP. But where? Lucky MP, look him there, lucky there, lucky there. Don't let him get away.
Welcome back. This is the current affair. Ms. Persad, you wanted to say something right before we went to the break?
I just wanted to add to Ron's point before we went to the break that these corporate financiers, they get no public acknowledgement at all for the funds, the donations that they give. And more importantly, they have no say whatsoever in how the debates are run, what happens, any of the rules, regulations, nothing. They are just nationally minded, civic-minded corporations that want are interested in improving the governance of the country.
Okay. And what do you think is do you think there is sufficient, the politicians are sufficiently confident in their abilities to debate, moving beyond their tribal bases to come forward and expose themselves before the national community?
Well, you know, change is always something that creates a little bit of I suppose, anxiety. Obviously, it's something relatively new to Trinidad and Tobago, and the politicians may, I wouldn't say resistant, but obviously it's something that's new. But I think all our politicians, all our aspiring leaders now will make very good debaters and will do a good job.
But Jabari, these are seasoned politicians. They debate in the House every day.
Without rules, they can debate for, essentially can say anything they want.
So all they have is a few little restrictions that keeps them corralled and keeps this thing
tenets of good behavior, I
good
guess.
behavior and balance, right? So I don't see why they should. What they need to be very clear in their mind is what are they offering to the public, right? And that's what they have to have clear, right? Because this is a time when the public, the electorate in Trinidad and Tobago is saying to me, tell me what you have to offer that is going to cause my life to be better, right?
What will happen if one of the political leaders decides on the eve of the debate, I'm not participating? Will the debate continue with an empty podium or something?
Most certainly will. Most certainly will.
So the commission is taking that decision
Absolutely.
firmly?
Yes. Absolutely. There's no question about it.
And what about the location for where this is going to be held?
We're looking at several venues now. Obviously, you know, there are not many venues in Trinidad and Tobago that really qualify easily because this is a televised production. We had used in the past CNMG studio, but their studio is small for the audience.
Okay.
So what we are doing is bringing in a production crew into a particular venue. So right now we're in the stage of looking at venues. We're looking at some at the university. We even talked about one in South. So nothing is determined yet. And by the way, we're having two debates, two leaders' debates.
Okay.
So we are looking right now at those venues, but it should be finalized fairly soon.
A large part of what controls the debate or what finances the debate is the business community, and the business community also contributes largely to the political parties. Do you think it's a bit farcical to have the business community contributing to the debates while the business community also contributes to the political leaders' campaigns, which are, of course, very unregulated?
I don't know what's farcical about it.
In the sense that for example, there is a push for proper campaign finance legislation, and then, for example, the chamber, which is a large part of the commission, doesn't necessarily push its members to declare party interests and so on when they contribute to parties at election time.
Yeah. This is, you're donating to a commission, which is a separate body, totally separate from the Chamber of Commerce, right? Totally. Right, this is a separate body, right? Whose job it is to administer the debates, right? It needs to be funded, right? We're not being funded by government, right? Okay, we're being funded by private sector, right? You wouldn't want us to be funded by government because you'll have all kinds of concerns about the influence that would be involved, right? So I don't think there's anything contradictory in a person supporting the debates, right, and maybe supporting some party of their preference. I don't see anything contradictory about that.
How much participation will there be from the social media element of it, or from telephone contributions or persons in the public making suggestions for questions?
There'll definitely be open social media before the debates, not during the night.
Okay.
What we will be inviting is for the public to send in their questions before.
Okay.
You know, we'll give a timeline up to a certain date, And we really hope that the public will do that.
And how will they send them in? Is there a hashtag or some
there,
sort of
yes,
online campaign?
There's a Twitter account, there's a Facebook, there'll be an email, and all of that will be publicized. So we'll be definitely inviting questions and issues from the public, but not on the night.
On the night of the debate, since you said you were looking at a bigger venue and so on, will the political parties be allowed to bring some supporters with them?
They will be allowed a certain number of people, but it's not like a large support base or anything like that, because
so they
none of the
no,
not at all.
And they are not allowed to wear any party distinguishing clothes.
Okay.
Right, you can't wear the party tie or the party colors or anything of the sort. So each party will be asked to name 15, 20 people that they would like to be present in the debate, and a list will be had. And we would check them off against the list, but how you dress, right, and no party distinguishing colors, right, are allowed.
That's
and there are
for the
many
audience
rules
as well.
There are many rules for the audience as well.
Will they be allowed to clap and support their
no, there's no noise.
So very controlled environment.
Very controlled environment. Yes.
Do you think that will help the politicians, or will that be to their disadvantage? You know, they usually have these horns blaring, bells, all kind of craziness.
Nothing like that at all. And I mean, they have to focus on the questions that the moderator is asking, because what we as the Commission is really trying to do, ensure that they have an opportunity to tell the public, tell the electorate, where they see things going, how they're going to address certain issues, how they, what their vision is. So they're not going to have time to be listening to any horns blowing, and so that is out of the, we're not going to have anything like that.
But Jabari, this is a very serious business. This is not the rabble-rousing that may go on in the hustings at the corner of a particular street that goes on. This is a serious debate, right? And the public is going to be influenced by how you manage yourself, right, in that debate, right?
All right,
and we're keeping the debate at a very high, intelligent level, right, on serious issues.
Without descending into the gutter politics.
Yes.
All right,
exactly.
we're gonna take a quick break. This is a current affair. This is a current affair. Thanks for staying with us. We just have to wrap up very quickly with the two commissioners from the T&T Debates Commission. Ms. Persad, final thoughts? Are you confident that it will happen or not?
Very confident that it will happen, and we really look forward to it. We really would like to ask you and the rest of the media to work with us to really you create opportunities for the public also to raise their issues, so that at the end of the day, on that night, issues are what are really addressed, and the politicians, the leaders, or sorry, the candidates have an opportunity to really give their vision and their plans.
And Mr. Harford, do you think that they'll give you any trouble this time around?
I don't think so.
No.
I don't think so.
Great. Thanks a lot.
I think they know we are serious.
Okay, great. Great to hear. This is a current affair. Thank you for staying with us. That's all the time we have for this week. We have to thank Ms. Angella Persad and Mr. Ronald Harford for joining us this evening. Remember, you can join us every Sunday evening at 7:30. We're always here asking the tough questions that you want to hear.